to be able to be here and talk to you today. And with me, I have a very special guest. For those of you who may not remember what I do in the Office of District Attorney, anytime law enforcement makes a case, they send that to our office for prosecution. So we work with the city police departments, we work with the sheriff's departments, we work with the GBI, DNR, FBI, all across the board. So for, actually I'd say last month, Special Agent Hamby and I have spent a great deal of time together prosecuting cases. As recently as yesterday here in Gilmer County, there it is. As recently as yesterday in Gilmer County, we were prosecuting a case where we had a murder and we had an armed robbery, and we ended up having all of these cases, 2 people enter, pleas to life sentences, all because of a drug deal. 90%, I think, of what you're going to hear Special Agent Hamby say on the cases that he works somehow traces back to drugs. If you're sitting here wondering, I thought we were talking about vaping, why are you talking about drugs? You're going to hear it in the presentation, because a lot of what we're dealing with are Schedule I controlled substances that are contained within the pods and the vapes, which you may or may not even know that's contained in there. So Special Agent Hamby, I will tell you, a couple of years ago was awarded Agent of the Year for the entire state. So I would like to introduce to you right now the absolute best that the GBI has to offer, Special Agent Dustin Hamby.
I don't know about all that, but the bad thing is like with you guys, if I make a bad decision, am I Special Agent of the Year anymore? Nope. They fall a lot harder when you're on this level and you make those bad decisions. That's kind of what we'll talk about today. This is a quick way, vaping, using the jewels, all that sort of stuff to make a bad decision that can affect you for the rest of your life. I've been with the GBI for November will be 18 years. I am originally from Cherokee County. I grew up there. I've sat in the stands and rolled my eyes at the same fools that come and talk to me about all the stuff that we shouldn't be doing when I was in high school. So I've been right there where you're sitting. I've had the same attitudes that you all have, made the same comments that you all had, and thought I was cooler than everybody else around me. So, and that I was invincible and that I would live forever. As you get into your 40s, that's not the case. So, since I've been with the GBI, I started out in narcotics, where I was an undercover agent for about 5 years in South Georgia and worked narcotics investigations. And back during that time, it was mostly cocaine, methamphetamine, crack cases. Now there's just a whole variety of things to ingest in your system and make yourself feel better about yourself. So there's a whole lot more temptation out there for you guys to deal with than there ever has been. And probably more dangerous than most drugs out there are, I'm just going to talk about it. Y'all hear me? No? Okay. Most drugs are, most of your synthetic stuff, you don't really know what you're getting into. And over my years as a GBI agent, I've worked at least 3 murders that had a direct connection to synthetic marijuana, K2, bath salts, things like that. I mean, I'm sure all of you have heard that on the news with people eating people's face off on the street and things like that. That's all synthetic drugs. And I can tell you that it has an effect on people that regular illegal drugs really don't have. It has an immediate effect. It has an immediate effect on individuals as soon as you take one hit. As soon as you take one hit, it's an immediate effect. And I know you guys have all heard that since you've been here. There was somebody just just the other day that had to be taken to the hospital from you. And it's happened all over in the 3 counties. So, anyway, I apologize if you can't hear everything I'm saying, but so I'm telling you, in my career, all the cases that I work, whether that's a robbery, a rape, child molestation, child abuse case, murder, nearly 90% of them have type of connection to illegal drugs. So this is just a new aspect and an easier way for you guys to be affected by this, and that's why it's so important for you guys to know what you're getting into. And it's about the choices you make. If you're willing to roll the dice, you know, bad things are going to happen. So Allison's got a good pocket. If you guys will just listen, maybe you can take something away from this. And it's not just me coming here from a different county to talk to you. I live here in Gilmer County. So my kids go to school in Gilmer County, so it's personal for me. And I want, if anybody in this room can get some out of it, and it can prevent you from making a bad choice, then we've done our job, right? So just give us a little bit of your time, and we'll get you through this, and maybe you can get a little something out of it.
All right, thank you much. So, part of what prompted us to be here right now is the last 2 weeks, we had 10 students between Fannin, Gilmer, and Pickens who were vaping at school that ended up having a medical emergency and having to get either treated by EMS or having to be taken to the hospital. 10 kids in 5 days is what we were looking at. That is a tremendous amount, and I will go ahead and tell you, when we were having that epidemic and we were having multiple kids in the same days, because I'm picking up phone calls from the sheriffs in Pickens County, the sheriff in Gilmer County, the sheriff in Fannin County, and talking to the superintendents. We sent all of that stuff to the crime lab, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation crime lab, and on the preliminary results that we received back, what we got that everybody had been vaping is called a synthetic cannabinoid, which actually translates to synthetic marijuana. Now, I will tell you, this is not a stock picture. This is a photograph given to me by the principal at Fannin County High School. These are all vapes that were confiscated last Thursday in Fannin County. The same thing happens here, by the way. I'm here to tell you, we aren't going to tolerate it anymore. We're working in conjunction with the school system, we're working in conjunction with the coaches, we're working in conjunction with law enforcement, and these matters will not only be handled at school, there will be criminal repercussions. That is for possession and for distribution. So, when I'm looking and preparing this PowerPoint this morning, one of the things that I see, and actually I pulled that, that's a screenshot from this morning, of all the things that's occurring, because this is actually a nationwide epidemic at this point. FDA has declared war on Juul. They say they have 60 days to figure out how to stop selling to the youth, or FDA is going to attempt to go in and shut them down. So this is not a Fannin, Gilmer, Pickens, but it is impacting us right here. Before you vape, you need to stop and think in terms of what it is that you're doing. Vaping is a completely unregulated industry. They don't go in, they don't test, we don't know the substances that are in there. Now, I do know of people who are going in, getting the pods, and adding additional drugs to the pods before they vape it. The effects of that are instantaneous. I also know of situations where students have gone into vape shops it's illegal in and of itself, they think they're getting one thing. They think they're getting cotton candy flavored vape juice. And the reality of the situation is what they're getting is blazing chronic. Now, I will tell you right now, there has been a concerted effort of law enforcement in all 3 counties today in an effort to combat that type of thing from happening and to shut the shops down that are selling that to you. So, let's talk a little bit about schedules, because I keep saying Schedule 1 drug. When I say synthetic cannabinoid, what we're looking at is a strain called Panaka. And that's what we've been dealing with right now. The reason Schedule 1 is important is because Schedule 1 drugs have no recognized medicinal value. They are also the most highly addictive drugs in terms of what falls on the scale. Everybody in here heard of methamphetamine? Methamphetamine's bad? Don't do methamphetamine. Let me give you an example of how bad the synthetic cannabinoids are. Methamphetamine is a Schedule 2. Synthetic cannabinoid is a Schedule 1, which puts it up there with heroin and LSD. This is not something to play with. This is extremely dangerous. We're not coming in here because we're fun haters. We're coming in here quite literally because we don't want to see any of you die as a result of what is being vaped. Now, the dangers of synthetic marijuana. When I was talking to Special Agent Hamby and we were preparing for this presentation, he pointed out to me this video. And I'd like for you to be able to take an opportunity to watch this and see the effect that synthetic marijuana has on people. Understanding, you were talking about these situations where they're smoking the synthetic marijuana. If you are talking about vaping synthetic marijuana or synthetic cannabinoids, the effects of this are instantaneous.
They are the walking dead. A growing drug craze is turning people like these into zombies. It's synthetic marijuana. On the street, it's called Spice, or K2, and it's showing up in neighborhoods across the nation. The drug is so strong, people go into a zonked out state. Sometimes it can even... New York City Police Commissioner Bill Pratt.
These individuals, many of them, under the influence of this drug,
this man seems to be completely out of his mind. Proud to
naked on the street.
They are the walking dead. Growing drug craze is turning people like these into zombies. It's synthetic marijuana. On the street, it's called Spice, or K2, and it's showing up in neighborhoods across the nation. The drug is so strong, people go into a zonked out state. Sometimes it can even turn peaceful people into crazies. New York City Police Commissioner Bill Pratt.
These individuals, many of them, under the influence of this drug, totally crazy.
This man seems to be completely out of his mind. Proud to naked on the street.
Smoke it because the chemicals that are in it can really destroy the brain cells in your brain and you're not coming back.
He's quoted the video of young people freaking out after allegedly taking synthetic marijuana, and people from all walks of life fall victim. In 2012, a 911 call was placed from Demi Moore's Hollywood home. The movie star had collapsed, and there were reports synthetic marijuana was to blame. The drug is cheap. A single bag can be as little as $1. So we've stopped at a couple of shops here in Manhattan and asked about K2 or Spice. so urgently needs, along with these other more souls of the real-life walking dead.
And while K2 is not illegal in many places, there are efforts underway in a number of states to change that.
What we have been having to deal with in these schools over the past 2 weeks. We had one situation where a kid had been vaping in the bathroom, and when he's vaping, he falls out almost immediately, completely incoherent, and when he comes to consciousness, is attempting to pull his tongue out of his mouth. Now, the thing is, what we're dealing with is no joke. It is a really, really serious matter. And what concerns me is because vape juice is completely unregulated, you guys have no idea what it is that you're actually ingesting. It only takes that one hit. It only takes that one vape. It only takes that one time you make a conscious decision to do something like that, and it can absolutely change the rest of your life. So about 3 weeks ago, Special Agent Hamby and I were in a different county. We were trying a murder case. This was probably, I would say he was killed 6 years ago. And in that particular situation, we had no body. We didn't know what happened. Through Special Agent Hamby's investigation, what we were able to piece together, find out, present to a jury, and they convicted on, is you had 2 guys who were friends. They had been friends for years. They got together and they decided to do methamphetamine. One of the guys ended up crashing out. He was tired, he was done, laid down on a sofa on the porch. The other guy decided he was mad at him. Victim had said something to him earlier in the day. It didn't sit well with him, so he decided he was going to get his revenge. While the guy, after riding him when he had done meth, puts his earbuds in, picks up an axe, goes over to where his friend's sleeping on the couch, and hits him in the head 3 times. Now I'm going to tell y'all something. Of course, our victim is now deceased. The defendant is spending the rest of his life in prison, and I can guarantee you what no one has ever said. I'm going to be a drug addict when I grow up. The problem is, it all starts somewhere. It all starts with that one mistake, and you can't take it back. So why is it that somebody would want to vape? It makes me feel better. Well, it doesn't make you feel better, it doesn't make you relax. Actually, what's occurring is the chemicals that's contained within inside the substance that you're ingesting. Now, here's the problem that I have with that. Nobody's going to tell you that smoking cigarettes is good for you. As a matter of fact, research shows smoking cigarettes can cause cancer. Everybody tries to sell you that vapes are safe, that vapes are good. The fact of the matter is there is zero research on it. You are the generation that is going to be the guinea pigs that's going to be showing that cancer and all of these other things are caused by vaping 30 years from now when they actually have the test cases to study. Why other people would do it? My friends vape, so should I. I'm going to tell you a little secret right now. If you've got true friends, a true friend is never, ever, ever going to do something or ask you to do something that would hurt you. Your friend is not going to look at you and say, hey, drink this cup of bleach so you can hang out with us. But essentially what you're doing when you're vaping is you're ingesting every bit of that into your lungs. So it makes me look cool. No, it doesn't make you look cool. And as a matter of fact, possessing vape devices and distributing vape devices devices to anyone under the age of 18 is illegal. What it makes you look like is it makes you look like a criminal. So it tastes like cotton candy. It tastes good. I want to do it. I'm just simply vaping harmless water vapor. That is not what is contained in that. And the problem is because it's an unregulated market, nobody can actually accurately tell you what you're ingesting. So, let's talk about consequences if you get caught vaping. I will tell you, when we made a concerted effort, we have reached out to the schools. The schools are increasing the penalties for vaping. If you're caught vaping on school grounds, then it is going to be substantially more, I think, than what you've probably seen. They are working in concert with the coaches, with the advisors for the clubs and the extracurricular activities. You are going to see additional penalties there. In addition to you're going to have juvenile court penalties or superior court penalties depending on what you're doing. That's what I do. That's where I come into play. Law enforcement brings me a case, we evaluate it, we decide if we're going to prosecute it. Let me go ahead and tell you, if you are caught, and I have had this conversation with the sheriff's office, if you are caught with a vape device, you will be charged. It will be handled in juvenile court, assuming you are under the age of 18. Excuse me. Assuming that you are under the age of 17. What a lot of people don't realize is that at 17 years old, you are charged as an adult. If you are a 17-year-old and you are distributing vapes to a minor, not only will you be charged with possession, you will also be charged with the distribution of it to a minor. If you get in the juvenile court system, then you are going to be facing probation, fines, community service, curfews, ban from electronic devices, bans on social media. And if that doesn't stick, then there's always YBC. But if you're an adult teen, if you're 17 years of age or more, and I'm sure that there's several of you in the room that are, understand if you are caught with a vape, you will be prosecuted. If you are caught with a vape that has in it, that is a felony offense. Possession of a Schedule I felony offense, depending on the weight, this is possession only, is 1 to 15 years in prison and up to a $100,000 fine. You go into that vape shop, you buy the Chronic, you buy the Blaze, you buy whatever it is that you think is making you cool, you could be buying yourself a felony. So what does your future hold? And I think really kind of this is the question for everything. That there are not any trust fund babies in this room. And if there are, there might be one of you. So for the rest of us, what our option is when we graduate high school, we are either going to go into the military, we are going to go to college, or we are just going to get a job. You are not going to be able to do that if you are making decisions which lead you to have a criminal history, because it is going to make it substantially more difficult on you. When after I graduated high school, I went to UGA, got my 4-year degree in political science. After that, I went to law school. After I had gone through 7 years of schooling, after I had graduated high school, I wanted to sit and take the bar so they would allow me to practice law in the state of Georgia. But in order to practice law in the state of Georgia, you have to pass a fitness portion first. They won't let you sit because they want to make sure that they don't have criminals that are practicing law, that they don't have addicts that are practicing law. I had to disclose to the state bar before they would let me take a bar exam if I had ever gotten even a traffic ticket that had a $100 or more fine. If I had consciously made decisions that would have put me at risk where I was vaping, I would have drug charges, I would have a delinquency record, then in all likelihood, my 7 years worth of schooling would have been for nothing because they wouldn't have let me sit to take the bar. Like Special Agent Handy said, you may feel like you're invincible right now, that we're fun haters, that y'all know everything and we're not cool. What we're trying to tell you is we've gained a little bit of perspective, and the decisions you make now most definitely will come back and affect you in the future, either for the good or for the bad. So, I know I've talked to you guys before, and I have said this to you in the past, but what I want you to do is think. I have 4 rules. If you follow my 4 rules, you will not see me in a courtroom. Do not speed when you drive a car. Do not follow another car too closely. Do not use a phone when you are driving a car. And number 4, don't be stupid. If you follow that, you guys are good to go. Special Agent Handy.
Just to touch on just making the choices that you know, bad choices are always there for you to make, and it's your decision whether you make them or you don't make them. And when I was younger, there were several that I made poor choices, just like all you guys have made poor choices. There were some choices that I made when I was in high school and college. I don't know why it's always when I get it, but choices that I made when I was in high school and college that almost cost me my career with GBI. It's not only about your criminal history, but how many of you want to go into law enforcement? Anybody? A few? Okay. The military, being a lawyer. There's a lot of careers that just by making a choice and whether you get called or not, it may prevent you from following that career. Because when you come on, if you come into law enforcement, you're going to have that you fill out, and it's going to talk about all the illegal things that you've ever done, from sneaking into a theater to stealing pencils at school, and you're going to have to take a polygraph. And if you've made choices to do certain things, they won't hire you. So those are what you have to make today, and that you get presented with, I know, on a daily basis. So. How many of you have vaped before? Who's going to be honest? All right. There's a few of you that are honest. Probably 3/4 of you at least thought about it. So be honest with yourself and realize that that wasn't a good decision, because you don't know what you're getting into. And it may be that one time that you make that choice, and then your family's talking to me because I'm coming to your house because you OD'd and you're deceased, you're dead, you're gone. And that's the end for you. And I'm talking to your family. That's the extreme. Or you have went out and done something, you've assaulted somebody, you killed somebody after you went out of your mind for 2 or 3 hours after you vape, and then you have to talk to me, and then you make it to Alison at court, and then you spend the rest of your life in prison. But I'll tell you that, like I said, my kids go to school here, and it's a personal thing for me. And I tell my daughter, who some of you I know are big sports folks, y'all play a lot of sports, who wants to go to college and play ball? Who wants to go to college, period? Okay? The decisions you're going to make in the next 4 years might prevent you from getting that scholarship. It might prevent you even going to college at all. So those are things just to keep in mind. The other thing, there was a young man in another county who worked a murder case where he was a suspect. His name was Demetrius, good guy, not been in a lot of trouble, but he and his roommate decided that it was a good idea to smoke synthetic marijuana. It's been a few years ago. He went out of his mind and ended up shooting and killing his roommate. Didn't even have a criminal history. Never been in trouble. In and out, trying to get himself back into college. And that one decision, he's in prison for the rest of his life. He'll never see the light of day again, other than if it's a basketball court at the prison. So just that one time cost him. And that's the extreme version of what we're talking about, but it can end up that way. That's the risk you take if you decide to take that vape when that friend is offering it to you. So just because it seems cleaner, just because it seems like it's the new fad, it's not any better. It's probably a whole lot worse than smoking cigarettes. Cigarettes are going to get you in the end, but this can get you right then. So I appreciate you having us. Alison, you got anything else?
No, I just want to reiterate to you guys, and I'll tell you, one of the things that always amazes me, in particular when I see people come through with drug charges, is methamphetamine. I mean, why on anybody on God's green earth would ever want to ingest methamphetamine is beyond me. That stuff is made with lithium batteries, Drano, and every other toxic element that you can think of. And what really gets me about it is the people who are mixing this stuff up are not your chemists. The people who are mixing this stuff up are the people who flunked out of chemistry in high school. So I sit there and I was thinking about this the other night. The simple fact of the matter is there is zero regulation on vaping at this point in time. There are statutes in effect saying anybody under 18 can't possess a vape or any type of vaping product. But nobody is overseeing what's going in there. And so that's why we're running into the situation that we're running into. We're having kids have medical emergencies and falling out. Because I fully believe, even though some of them knew what they were doing, other kids actually went in, obtained the stuff, thinking they were just getting flavored vape juice. And that bought them a trip to the hospital and falling out of school. So I just want to let you know that we are all working in concert together to address the situation. We want to see every single one of you succeed, do well, follow your dreams, and live up to every bit of your potential. And you guys got a football game tonight? No? When's y'all's next game? All right. Do me a favor. Before I leave, do one more thing for me. Give me one more. Go Cats. Thank you, guys. Been great.